Welcome back, fellow readers. This is Suave, and today we are going to be taking a look at Solo Leveling Volume 1. This is the English printing for the Korean manhwa. It's finally here. We get to dive in and we get to see how it holds up against the webtoon. So, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, folks, this is it. This is Solo Leveling Volume 1. So, here is the cover art featuring Jinwoo. We have the title here. We're showing that it's also Volume 1. We can see that it's still the same studio that made the webtoon, so it's still the same artwork. And of course, the original story by Shu Gong. We're going to take a quick look at the spine here because the spine is how this book is going to look like when you put it on your shelf. So that's very important to take a look at. And I really dig this art, the art design here, the purple colors. It's just a really nice spine. And then we're going to take a quick look at the back cover. So here we have the artwork with Jinwoo going up against the statues that are about to attack him. We have the synopsis, what the book's all about, and of course it's $20 US MSRP, and the yen press information over here on the corner. And before we actually dive into this book, I just want to show you just how big this book is. I mean, on its own, it's actually very heavy too, because it's a lot of colored pages, so we'll get to that in a second. But you know, let me just pull up this other just standard manga size, also printed by Yen Press. So I'm going to line it up as close as I can. And you can see that this thing is just gigantic compared to just a standard size manga. And even if I put up a light novel, so here's the Solo Leveling light novel. I'll line it up here real quick, and you can see that it's about still as tall as the light novel. But when it comes to the width, this book is just slightly wider than the light novel. So this is a pretty big book on itself. Alright, let's finally dive into this book. So we open it up and we have our little color inserts here. We have our cover page. And I love this part here. It's a table of contents. But first we're going to take a look at this character spread. So we have the 4 main characters that are featured in this first volume. So we have Jinwoo, Chi-yu, Jo-hee, and Sung-shik. And you can see in the table of contents, we actually have a prologue and 3 chapters, but I don't want you to be confused with the webtoon because the webtoon has several chapters and they're very small pages. This is not a one-for-one chapters with the webtoon, as in 3 chapters of the webtoon is just in this one book. It's a lot bigger than that. So we'll dive right into it. And I love these little chapter pages with the prologue and the other chapters because this is actually unique to the manhwa, where we get this little artwork on the chapter pages that you don't normally see in the webtoon. Now, for the sake of comparison, I will say that I'm going to be comparing this book with the official licensed webtoon by Tappytoon. So that's where my comparison is going to be. So if you think the translation is a little off, that's probably why. So we'll go in here, and if you're a big Solo Leveling fan, you'll probably already realize as we're flipping through some of these early pages that the dialogue is actually slightly different than what you would see even in the official licensed webtoon by Tappytoon. And that's because Yen Press actually translates this all themselves too. So they don't just take the translations that's done by Tappytoon and just prints it all. They kind of do their own thing here too. And you'll see that this is actually reading really nicely. So you don't really get a lot of things that are lost when you try to read up and down on a webtoon. And you know, reading here left to right, it actually works pretty nicely. And this is actually one of the differences that I want to show you. So in the webtoon, you actually just get like a little, at least on Tappytoon, it shows like a little stab sound or a stab lettering, and you know, it just goes black. Versus here, you get like this this red graphic, and you get a different sound effect here just to show that showing that the statue is stabbing directly into Jinwoo. So I thought that was a cool little difference that they have here early on. And you know, you'll see differences like that every now and then throughout the whole book. And then we get to chapter 1, Double Dungeon. So as I was saying earlier, the chapter pages have their own unique art that's unique to the manhwa that you won't find in the webtoon. So I thought that's pretty cool. We're not going to go page by page. I just wanted to show you the prologue. And then, you know, I'll skip through a few pages and some of my favorite moments, and just to show you what the layout of the book is going to look like compared to the webtoon. So, you know, we have the beginning here. As you can see, this is already much different than what you get in the webtoon because, you know, you're reading the webtoon up and down, and versus here you get the parts being broken up into separate squares. And, you know, I think it still works. You know, you still get the feel of what's going on, and nothing is drastically changing. You know, you get a different format than what you would get on the webtoon, but it definitely reads perfectly well in this book when you're reading it from left to right. And remember how I was talking about how this book feels pretty heavy? That's because unlike traditional manga where it's printed on cheap rough paper, or even light novels for that matter, this is printed on really nice matte finished paper. And that's the type of paper that you need when you're printing colored images. So if you're not used to holding large comic books or something like that, this could be a little bit heavy compared to what you're normally used to, but it definitely feels and looks like a premium product, no doubt. When you hold this book in your hands and you're in the bookstore and you're thinking about whether or not you want to buy this, the moment you put this in your hands and you feel that weight, you're definitely going to want to buy this, trust me. All right, let me go ahead and skip on over. I want to find a specific moment where I just saw it, where you get some of the images that are a little inverted just because of the nature that they're presented in the webtoon. And let me just fast forward over here real quick. So this is the part where the statue shoots his lasers over to Jinwoo and basically the whole party. And in this in the webtoon, let me put it over here because I want to try to put a little example here for you. So in the webtoon, you can see that the orientation is much different because you're reading it from top to bottom. And over here you get it as a double spread from left to right. So even though it's presented a little differently, I still think that it still works in this type of medium. And we'll just keep skipping around. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this into a story review. Millions of people have enjoyed Solo Leveling. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you probably already read the webtoon and you know what's up with the story. You want to see what this book actually looks like before you make your purchase. Let me see if I can find the next chapter page. Here we go, chapter 2, 3 commandments. So I love, I always love seeing this unique artwork that we get with the chapter pages. It always looks pretty cool. So if you're coming from the webtoon and you want to know how much of the story is collected in this single volume, it is the number 12. So 12 episodes or 12 chapters, whatever you want to call it, from the webtoon is collected into this single book. And I'm not sure if it's done yet or not. I'm not fully caught up with the story. I read a few chapters, but I know that there's at least 140 chapters out as of this moment. And so if that's 140 chapters, we're looking at least 11-12 books minimum being printed. So this is gonna look really nice on the shelf, and I know they're printing volumes every few months. So this is gonna be exciting. If you're a Solo Leveling fan, you pretty much have to get this book. It's gonna look really good on your shelf, and you're just gonna be very happy holding this book and reading this book. All right, and here we go, chapter 3 quest. So you can see the little desert dunes, the desert piles. You can see that this is the part of the story where Jinwoo gets sucked into that world of being chased by these scorpion creatures. And here's the part where he gets that new UI system that gives him the quest. And let me see if I can find a color page real quick. Here we go. So a lot of things that people worry about when it comes to these colored books, especially in comic book world, is whether or not you're going to be able to get a clear picture from the middle of the book when you're reading, because you get some of that loss in the middle. We call it maybe the gutter. But in this case, since it's a very small book, it's a very good job with glued binding. You actually don't get that much loss at all. I mean, maybe you have to stretch it a little bit, but it doesn't take a whole lot of effort at all. And you get a pretty good clear idea and a clear picture of what's happening. So that's not really something that you have to worry about when it comes to these pages. Alright, we're getting near the end here. I just want to show you what the back of this book looks like. And let me see, where is it? Near the end. Was that it? No, that wasn't it. Here we go. So here we get like this little unique thing to us, to be continued in volume 2. So this is like near the end parts of chapter 12. And this is really cool. We get like a little preview shot of what's to come in volume 2. And we get a little montage of all the different images that we know from the webtoon. So a bunch of cool stuff to look forward to in volume 2. We get the little advertisement here for the light novel. If you have not purchased the light novel, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a Solo Leveling fan. You get a whole lot of details on the light novel. I did a review about that over there. And we get a nice purple credits page at the very end. And this is the same cover page that we also got near the beginning. And that is it. Alright, let's head on back. And that wraps up Solo Leveling Volume 1. I hope you found this video helpful. Post your comments down below. Let me know if you're going to pick up this title. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It helps me out a whole lot. With that being said, I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.